The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law for this meeting have been satisfied, a copy of the notice having been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster and filed in the office of the Township Clerk. There is an emergency exit through the courtroom doors and 2 exits at the rear of the room. There is no smoking, vaping, or other use of devices similar to that here. Board policy is no new cases will be started after 10:30 p.m. and no new testimony taken after 11 p.m. All meetings will be video and audio taped and shown on the Township of Ocean's Community Cable Channel, Channel 22, on Verizon Fios and Channel 77 on Cablevision. All cell phones must be turned off, or if you need to make a call, please make your call outside the meeting room. All right, so we have a couple housekeeping items first. First, we have a new member joining us this evening. We need to have sworn in.
He was sworn in upstairs.
Correct, we already did that. So our next item is we have a new board secretary that needs to be approved. So I make a motion to appoint Nicole Ackery as board secretary.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Beal.
And roll call, please.
Councilwoman Kaplan?
Yes.
Vice Chair DeFilia?
Yes.
Ms. Sermon?
Yes.
Mr. Beal?
Yes.
Mr. Palutis?
Yes.
And Mr. Goslin?
All right, we received correspondence from Jeff Weinstein noting that he has resigned from his position of the planning board as he took a position with the Township Council, joining Ms. Kaplan. So we need to have a vote for a new chair to replace Mr. Weinstein. Do I have a motion? We'll open it for nominations.
A motion for Ed DeFilia.
Second.
Any other nominations? All right, so can we have a roll call, please?
And Councilwoman Kaplan?
Yes.
Chairman DeFilia?
Yes.
Ms. Sermon?
Yes.
Mr. Beal?
Affirmative.
Mr. Palutis?
Yes.
And Mr. Goslin?
Yes.
All right, and since now we have a vacant vice chair position, we need to vote for a new vice chair. And I would like to nominate Mr. Palutis.
I second.
I second.
Okay. Councilwoman Kaplan?
Yes.
Chairman DeFilia?
Yes.
Ms. Sermon?
Yes.
Mr. Beal?
Yes.
Mr. Palutis?
Yes.
Mr. Goslin?
Okay. Resolutions to be memorialized. We have a reaffirmation of a minor subdivision for 608 Wildwood Road, Block 61.01, Lot 4 in the R4 zone. Mr. Election, do you just want to give us a brief update on what this is and why we're reaffirming it?
So essentially we received correspondence from the applicant's attorney indicating that there was a condition within the resolution that all structures on the property had to be demolished. The applicant's been unable to demolish the property because she lives on the property and she's looking for another place to live. She was unable to relocate where she thought she was going to be able to relocate. So they're asking for additional 6 months, which I think is completely reasonable under the statute.
Okay. Any questions from the board? All right. Do we have a motion?
So I make a motion then, Mr. Chairman, to both approve the extension and adopt the resolution. You can do them as one.
Okay. Someone will make that motion.
I make the motion.
Moved by Mr. Palutis, second by Ms. Kaplan. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Kaplan?
Yes.
Chairman DeFilia?
Yes.
Ms. Sermon?
Yes.
Mr. Beal?
Yes.
Mr. Palutis?
Yes.
And Mr. Goslin?
Yes.
All right. So now we have a new case. Is it Leon or Leone? Leon Properties, LLC, 3501 Sunset Avenue, Block 183, Lot 6 in the I-1 zone. They are seeking preliminary and final major site plan and bulk variance to construct an addition to the existing commercial building along with interior renovations to existing building and reconfiguration of the parking lot with additional spaces, lighting, landscaping, and related site improvements. And the attorney is Ms. Jennifer Kripko.
And congratulations, Mr. Chair and Vice Chair. Jennifer Krimko on behalf of the applicant. And I think that the summary said it very well, but just to orient you while Jason's setting up, this is the Fisherman's Source building that's on the corner of Sunset and Brielle. We came in before this board, I think back in 2019, for some signage and some other related variances and updated site plan. And since then, thankfully, the business has grown, and as a result, we are proposing to modestly increase the retail section and significantly increase the size of the warehousing for their e-commerce business. So we are just here seeking site plan approval for that. We did have an opportunity to review Jim's letters and Ben's, and I know that my engineer had an opportunity to speak with both of them. So as I move in exhibits, you're going to hear that some of them have already been revised in order to address those comments.
And let me mark in what I have. Exhibit A1 will be the boundary and topographic survey. Exhibit A2 will be the preliminary and final major site plan. Exhibit A3 will be the stormwater management report. Exhibit A4 will be the architectural plans. Then I have the following board exhibits. Exhibit B1 will be the planner's report, and Exhibit B2 will be the engineer's report.
Okay, great. And then,
I'm going to mark whatever that is as A5.
yeah, and Jason did what he is not allowed to do, but we're gonna let it go tonight. He collated these instead of keeping them separate. Since we move them in separately, so I'm gonna mark these, keep them, and then I'll hand them all out.
That's fine.
A5 is an aerial exhibit prepared by Insight with today's date. And A6 is a site rendering prepared by Insight with today's date. And they are in attached packets, so. Even though, in case they were public, it doesn't appear that anyone from the public is here because everyone in the audience is with the applicant. And just so the board's aware, Jason, as you know, I'm gonna have him sworn in as an environmental planner. And typically, we would cut his testimony, do engineering first and then planning. I think based on the simplicity of this application, I'm gonna just have him run through all of it. And then, should you require the presentation by the architect is also here to present those floor plans and elevations. So with that, I would ask to have Jason sworn.
Do you swear your testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And just state your name for the record.
Jason Fichter, last name Fichter.
Thank you. And you're a licensed engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey, correct?
I am, yes.
Thank you very much.
And, Mr. Chair, forgive me, I don't remember which board does it which way. Does this board like to have the reports read in first, or you prefer to have us proceed?
Proceed. If you could just give, to start, just a quick overview, and then specifically what you're asking for the board, and then...
We have it all prepared, so we're ready to go.
Great.
So, Jason, I'd ask you, referencing the exhibits, and forgive him for not standing. Apparently it hurts his back more when he stands.
I'll get up if you need me.
He's very tall, so, but since there's no public, he's gonna just proceed sitting, so. Jason, I'll turn it over to you, walk the board through what's existing, what we're proposing, and what variances we need.
So this is block 183, lot 6, otherwise known as 3501 Sunset Ave. As shown, did we mark?
Mm-hmm. That one is A6.
Okay. On A6, you'll notice we're on the northwest corner of Sunset Ave and Brielle Ave. The lot size is 37,346 square feet. We're in the I-1 zone, which requires 40,000 square foot lots, so we're slightly undersized. The site is currently being used for warehouse, retail, and online sales for Fisherman's Source. That's the existing business in there. And as Ms. Krimko stated, they got site plan approval with variances. It was February 25th of 2019. Warehousing and accessory retail sales are permitted uses in the I-1 zone. So a summary, the applicant seeking approval to put an addition on their existing building and enhance the site and their operations. So Fisherman's Source started in 2006 and they've been growing ever since, which is great. And we're here tonight seeking approval to support their continuing growth. They're comprised of retail and e-commerce, which of course includes warehousing, and not surprisingly, the vast majority of their business is e-commerce. The plans submitted to you show an expansion of the retail space and expansion of the warehouse space. So the idea is to grow both. Focus on warehouse, obviously. And your ordinance requires in this zone that retail cannot be more than 25% of the gross floor area, and this application complies with that, as did the 2019 application. The architectural plans note...
Just to clarify, because I know that Mark will probably ask for it, the existing retail is 24.3% and the proposed retail is 21.2%.
That's
So
what
we're
I-
actually reducing the percentage of retail to warehouse.
Right, focus on the warehouse, that's right.
Okay, so, great, so we're,
Go.
yep, keep
Okay.
going.
All right, so looking at the architectural plans, it notes that the existing building is 6,214 square feet. and the proposed building is 11,339 square feet. As far as utilities go, not much to say there. We're assuming that the utilities that serve the existing building will continue to serve the proposed building, so we're not proposing any new utility connections at this time. Of course, at construction, anything can happen, but won't be anything of substance. Stormwater management. This is not major development for stormwater management. We're proposing 41% lot coverage where the zone permits up to 54%. Which means that we're contributing much less runoff to the municipal system than was contemplated for this zone. We also designed our grading plan to avoid sending additional runoff to our 3 adjoining neighbors. And the topography of the property is conveniently conducive to directing runoff toward the municipal right-of-ways, which is the ideal scenario. I discussed the stormwater design with Mr. Matlack today, and Ben, please feel free to cut me off if I say anything out of line here, but we talked about the stormwater system, and as a result, I agreed that we would provide a roof dry well to accommodate the increase in impervious area on the proposed site, and we could easily do that with the roof area.
That's
Good?
correct.
Okay. Parking. In the existing condition, there are 10 parking spaces. We're proposing a total of 23. 22 are required mathematically by your ordinance. We have, what we're proposing is 9 spaces at the back or north of the site, so on A6, north is straight up. So there's 9 spaces at the back, and they have 2-way access from Brielle Avenue. There's 4 spaces in the front or south part of the site, or plan bottom on A6. Also a 2-way access from Brielle Avenue, and that's where the ADA space is included with an accessible route to the retail entrance. And then there are 10 angled spaces on the east side of the building with 1-way access from Brielle Avenue. The 9 spaces at the rear of the site are new, and they use an existing but improved driveway. The 14 spaces in the front and on the east side of the building mimic the existing circulation patterns. There were a couple comments in Mr. Higgins' letter about parking and landscaping, particularly the width of the parking spaces and the lack of a landscape island. So what we did on Exhibit A6 is we made those changes. I took the liberty of putting that on our exhibit even though it wasn't submitted ahead of time because the changes are so minor and so positive. So what it shows is by altering a little bit of what we did, we still maintain the 10 spaces that were submitted on the plan that you have, but we managed to get a landscape island on the north end of those 10 angled spaces, and we also made all of those spaces a uniform 9 feet wide.
So in Jim's letter, it pointed out that some of our spaces were less than 9 feet existing.
Yeah, the existing spaces vary in width. They're all over the place. They're a little disorganized. So what we did is we took the full width of what we had, and lo and behold, mathematically it worked out great. We were still able to get 10 spaces, and we were able to add the landscape island. So it improves not only the parking, but the streetscape as well. And the dimensions are the same too in terms of the drive aisle and setback and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I took the liberty to put it right on
It
the
also
exhibit.
reduces the magnitude of the variance for landscaped islands. There's only now one area where the ordinance technically requires a landscaped island, and it's not appropriate in that location. That's on the front of the building next to the ADA space. So it's really not appropriate for an island to be there. So I don't have any problem at all with the grading.
Okay, and we still, as you'll hear when we get into planning, we still do need the variance for the 9-foot width, but as you know, that's something, and you'll hear Jason testify, that is frequently granted in low turnover. But again, I don't want to leave you thinking that we're fully compliant. We still need the width variance, but it's the 9 feet, which is typically approved.
It's a dramatic improvement. It's not fully compliant, but I'll go into more detail. All right, moving on. In terms of circulation, site circulation. So we're proposing to maintain and improve the 2 existing driveways, which are at the north and south ends of the Brielle Ave frontage. So the existing driveway on the north side of the Brielle Ave frontage is about 14 feet wide. We're proposing to make it 30 feet wide, and we're moving it slightly to the north to accommodate vehicles and loading operations, which I'll also talk about in a minute. The existing driveway on the south side of Brielle Ave is about 16 feet wide, and we're proposing to widen that one to 24 feet wide to accommodate two-way vehicular circulation. We're requesting a design waiver for the minimum driveway curb radius. Your ordinance requires 15 feet. The existing southern driveway is 2 feet, and the northern driveway is 0 feet. We're proposing 5 feet for the southern driveway and 10 feet for the northern driveway. So not quite compliant, but both are an improvement, and we're trying to keep them at the minimum necessary to accommodate the site and maximize the green space and along the streetscape. The refuse in the existing condition is, it's on the north end of the Brielle Ave frontage. It's about 30 feet from the right-of-way. It has high visibility. It's not enclosed. We're proposing a more traditional refuse enclosure. We're pushing it back about 111 feet from the Brielle Ave right-of-way, and we're putting it inside a board-on-board enclosure with latching gates. For loading, we're proposing 2 loading zones, and these were designed to accommodate the applicant's operations. They were very intentionally placed for the flow of operations. The shipping and receiving loading zone is at the south side of the building, and the intention of that loading zone is to accommodate UPS and FedEx vehicles for the e-commerce operations. The other loading zone is at the north side of the building, and that's intended for product deliveries. The trucks here are going to vary in size, so we designed it for the most extreme case, which would be tractor trailers, although it won't always be tractor trailers. Larger trucks, what they'll do is they'll back into the rear loading zone from Brielle Avenue, as compared to the existing loading operations, which all take place entirely within Brielle Avenue. Trucks actually park in Brielle and move the product within Brielle Avenue. So the proposed loading zones will be a significant improvement. The applicant, interestingly, the applicant does not anticipate any additional trucks, just more product from each truck, which is the benefit of more floor space. As a matter of fact, the applicant thinks it's quite possible once they get rolling that they may see less trucks, since they're going to be able to store more product that each truck brings. For lighting, there's 7 building mounted lights on the existing building. They're all proposed to remain. We're proposing 2 more building mounted lights to accommodate the expansion. We're also proposing 3 pole mounted lights, 1 each at the 2 driveways, which is very important for safety, and 1 along the southern drive aisle, which is right in front of the store along the Sunset Ave frontage. And that is placed there to accommodate vehicular circulation. Our lighting plan shows nice even coverage of the vehicular and pedestrian areas. There are a couple variances associated with the lighting plan, but for good reason. I'll go through those in a bit. Our landscape plan focuses on enhancing the streetscape aesthetics and framing out the property, essentially creating a buffered perimeter. With the minor parking layout revision that I mentioned, the streetscape along Brielle Ave is going to be greatly improved. We're adding the 2 landscape islands. We're landscaping the northern and southern limits of that Brielle Ave frontage. And then the streetscape improvement along Sunset is also significant. Today it's mostly stone all the way from the site curb all the way out to the Sunset Ave curb. We're actually proposing to pull back the existing curb on the property further away from Sunset, which then gives us the ability to create more green space. We're also proposing to remove the stone and replace it with sod, which your ordinance requires, and a landscape bed in addition to the existing street trees. So great improvement from landscape and streetscape perspective.
But we're gonna show those street trees as proposed according to Jim's letter,
Yes.
correct?
No problem.
Okay.
In 2019, you granted a variance to place what is now the existing sign 5 feet from each right-of-way line, so basically right at the intersection of Brielle and Sunset. It was subsequently constructed 6.8 feet from Brielle Ave, which is good, and 1.9 feet from Sunset Ave, which is slightly off from where it was approved. We're not proposing to make any changes to that, so visually it'll be what people are accustomed to seeing, except for the fact that it won't be in stone. It'll be a nice sod green landscape.
So, but we're essentially asking for the additional variance now, just to correct what had occurred during construction.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's it for
Engineering.
layout and engineering, circulation, all that stuff. And unless there's any questions.
Yeah, Does the board, Mr. Chair, want to ask questions before he goes into the planning testimony?
No, why don't we hear from our professionals if they have any response to that? Then we'll open it up to questions, and then we'll.
Okay.
Yes, I do have one, sorry, Jim.
No, no, go ahead.
I just have one, thing, that wasn't touched upon. My report mentions, sidewalk on along the Brielle frontage. Can you talk about that?
I missed that, thank you, Ben. So there is a requirement to provide sidewalk along the Brielle Ave frontage. In the existing condition, we have that parking along the Brielle Ave frontage, so it really wouldn't be a safe spot for sidewalk.
Well, it would be impossible because we wouldn't be able to back out of those spaces.
Right.
We would go onto the sidewalk.
So Mr. Matlack and I discussed that earlier today, and what we landed on was it would be nice to provide sidewalk from the northern limit of the Brielle Ave frontage to our proposed driveway. The site just to the north of us was recently approved with sidewalk along the frontage, so that would continue the sidewalk as far as it can reasonably go on our site. So we would be happy to do that. I didn't measure it, it's like 30 or 40 feet worth of sidewalk.
So I'm sorry, can you just, so it's gonna be in the green space
Yeah.
It's gonna connect us to the property to the north.
there, but not on this, not on later on?
Not here.
Obviously not across the pavement, but you're not gonna put it to there.
That wasn't the intention.
I don't think it's really 100% necessary to bring it all the way to the corner. The sidewalk at the north will connect the two properties, and then people can walk along the paved area of the parking lot to get to the store. And if they need to, they can use the depressed curb to get out of the parking lot.
What about coming north of Brielle? We just put all new sidewalks in there, didn't we? From the township's perspective?
On
Sunset?
which side?
Crossing on the other side of Sun, as if you're heading down towards Costco.
So south.
Yeah, on Brielle.
South side. I said north side, my
Yeah.
apologies.
Yeah, if there's a sidewalk there, it might make sense to extend the sidewalk on the southern part.
It almost looks like there is one there.
That's what it looks like on here.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is or isn't.
Yeah.
Right here.
I don't
Well,
believe, I
can
think it's
look
all
at
the gravel
survey
there,
and tell you.
but
Yeah, there is a sidewalk.
Yeah.
So,
It
there,
exists already.
yeah, there's a sidewalk in the right of way, so it would only be a small portion that we would connect here, Jason, from here to here.
okay.
Okay, so we could connect the existing sidewalk to our southern driveway as well.
Alright. Alright, so you're gonna connect existing sidewalk to southern driveway, and then, northern,
Driveway to the property to the north.
sidewalk to property to the north. Okay, thank you.
That's what, you mean from lot 7? Is that what you're saying there?
Yes.
And then,
So-
I think we have a cutout on the curb
Yeah,
there,
so
right?
so let me just point it out. Essentially, we would put sidewalk here. We wouldn't put sidewalk here.
Yeah.
And then we put it from here to here because the township sidewalk is already in the right of way here.
Thank you.
Yeah, meanwhile, we're all looking at everything. It's very clearly shown on exhibit A6 that the sidewalk exists.
Keep going like this and
Yeah,
stop blowing it up.
It's right there.
Jim, Bennett, anything else?
I don't really have any other comments in the testimony so far, and I think they've addressed everything in my report with the exception of the calculation for tree replacement, which,
Yeah, we understand your calculation, that's fine.
yeah,
We'll-
okay,
Yep.
okay,
We'll work with you on that, that's fine.
okay.
And you'll adhere to anything that's inside the 2019 resolution?
Of course.
That doesn't conflict with this?
Of course. And just quickly, for purposes of the record, I'm gonna walk you through this rather than have you go through it in full detail. We need a variance or change of grade, correct?
We do.
And that's based on the fact that the property topography is
Very steep.
significantly steep. And, so we're proposing the change of grade, but it's not gonna have any impact on the surrounding neighbors.
Correct.
Okay, the curb cut location, we have curb cuts on the lower classification street, and again, we're following the existing conditions here, and it continues to limit the access from Sunset, which is a better zoning alternative.
Correct.
Okay, the minimum driveway width, it's an existing condition here, and it's based on the proximity of the building.
That's proposed.
Okay,
Yeah, it's just a short run of the,
Oh, okay, proposed, I'm sorry.
of the driveway, yeah, right in front of the building.
Considering the volume there, I have no concern with whatever for that.
Okay, the visitor parking only in the front yard, it's an existing condition, it's continuing, we're adding some more spaces. And again, it may be visitors parking there, but we can't promise that it's only gonna be visitors parking there. I don't even understand the reason for that ordinance section, but I don't know that you can tell the difference between visitors and non-visitors.
It's a carryover from the prior ordinance from before I began to play.
So a very, very, very long time ago. Parking stall size, we went over it, we're making them more uniform, and in your opinion, the 9 foot wide is sufficient since there's no, it's not a supermarket with, carts and the like.
Even with that, 9 feet works. So yeah, 9 foot's fine.
Okay, and we need a parking stall size for 60-degree angled parking, and again, we're adding some parking spaces, but we're continuing the existing condition.
We're actually making that one better. Some of them are very narrow. We're making them all 9 feet wide. Those are the angled spaces.
Does my report say stall size or drive aisle width?
We just did drive aisle width,
Okay, then
and now we're on stall size.
How many parking spaces are there currently?
10.
Or 10, only 10 now, okay.
With regard to the lighting, are light stanchions, or the poles are actually closer to the right-of-way than are permitted, but in your opinion, from an engineering perspective, is that a better alternative than putting them in the site or having more poles?
Yeah, absolutely. 2 of them are by driveways. That's the most important thing to light. And then the third pole is just driven by the existing site constraints. We're just working with what we have.
Okay, and then the lighting levels, again,
That's
as this,
mainly the driveways.
right, as this board knows, that the lighting levels are very hard to meet exactly. Most of the site plan applications require some kind of relief, but that's not over the property line, that's just at our driveways.
It's over the property line at the driveways.
Right, that's what I
There's
meant.
also a minor, it goes over a minor bit along Sunset, but by the time it gets to the Sunset curve, we're at 0.1 foot candle, which is basically dark.
And what, I didn't mean to say over the property line, I meant to say, other than in the right of way, it's not affecting any of our neighbors.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Minimum lighting levels, you wanna just talk about that?
Yeah, so you require a minimum of 0.6 foot candles, where we have behind the angled spaces, we have as low as 0.1 foot candle. We get the 0.6 foot candle, we understand that. We're just trying to balance how much light do we provide in that drive aisle versus spilling into the right of way. So we opted to have less light spilling into the right of way. We did light the spaces themselves. The drive aisle behind will be a little darker, but the driveways on either side will be lit. So I really think it's going to be a safe condition. I have no issue with it.
Okay, and the maximum average, again, it's negligible and it's hard to meet just based on the balance.
Yeah, that's essentially compliant, but not quite numerically.
We need a variance for loading in the front yard,
Correct.
and again, that's a function of,
Working with the existing conditions and the fact that it's a corner lot is also a challenge.
okay, the minimum landscape area in the front yards, we're actually, we comply on the Sunset Avenue, and Brielle Avenue, we need relief. And one question that I thought of as we were going through this, does that 17.6 take into account the additional landscape islands, or will that number actually increase?
No, that will go up. You know what? I think that is included in there. Either way, it'll still be less than the 30.
Right, but ultimately, should the board approve this, we need to get
We'll
that
make the right
exact number
No,
to
It'll
Mark.
go up if that landscaped island is new. The 17.6 is based on the
Okay.
plan that was submitted to the board.
Okay.
So,
No
Mark,
problem.
should the board approve this, we'll make sure to get you that number.
Okay.
And again, that's just a hardship of needing to balance the parking versus the existing building and its location where it's set back.
Yep, and all the pavement for the existing parking in front of it.
And that goes with the same with the minimum, the 25 feet required. We have all that parking, it would be impossible to do
Correct.
that.
Yep.
And I think that covers all of the variances. And we're adding sod, which we don't have now.
Along Sunset, it's all stone. We're going to take the stone out and we're going to sod it. And again, we also push that curb back so it'll be more green than pavement than it is today.
Will that be served by a sprinkler system?
Yes, we have I believe there's a note on the plan for that.
Oh,
fact.
okay.
Yep.
So from a planning perspective, is it your opinion that we're furthering the purposes of the municipal land use law by this application?
It is.
Okay, and is there any negative impact that you could conceive such that it would outweigh all the positives that you just went through?
Not remotely. No, I think this is a great benefit, this application. It's one of the nicer sites in the area. It's gonna be made even nicer by this. We're gonna add, more controlled, well-designed lighting, landscaping, take stone out, sod. I think the, final product is gonna be great. I don't think it's gonna have any adverse impact on the public or the neighbors.
All right, board members, questions? I know I have a couple. Do you happen to have, by any chance, because I'm just looking, I'm trying to remember and visualize it. Do you have an aerial without the overlay on it of the existing conditions handy?
No, but we have a survey.
Anyone have the?
Here.
Yeah.
As long as you give it back to me.
But I guess, and while we're doing that, I have a separate question about the slanted parking spots. Has there been any thought to slanting them the other way so that you're as you're coming south, that you're just pulling in instead of having to back out into oncoming traffic? Do you see what I'm saying? I'm just curious. I know it's existing condition and you redid it to match.
As you back out, you're not backing out into this lane, you're backing out this way.
Correct. Because right now, to back out, to go, you would be backing out into oncoming traffic to cross the center line to go back out the way you're talking about.
So are you saying if I'm in the southernmost space, I would back out into an access aisle to leave?
No.
There's a curb.
Yeah, I know you're getting at.
Oh, okay. All right, I misunderstood that. Okay. I got you now. Okay. Other questions from the board members?
Just to add to him, are we putting anything there to prevent people from backing out into oncoming traffic?
Yeah, well, the curb is there, and that's been how it's been
It's
operating
been out,
all along.
okay. I just know that sometimes you're in the parking lot and you don't see like.
It's
the
in the
thing
right of
behind
way,
you.
we can't put anything there.
So on that survey, it doesn't look like there's existing sidewalk where we were talking about it on the southern portion of the property.
I thought I saw it, let me take a look.
Maybe I'm misreading it wrong.
I saw it on here, not.
It's like a, it's
It's right
concrete.
here.
No,
Yeah, that's a sidewalk, yeah.
it's like a drainage thing.
Sure, it looks like sidewalk on
I
the
believe
area.
it's a sidewalk.
But I don't wanna, I don't wanna,
It might be concrete gutter. I
it's
think you're
concrete
right.
gutter. I
Okay.
don't wanna enter, I don't wanna enter
But
it.
there
Yeah,
is,
did you-
there is a
there-
sidewalk directly across the street.
Across the street there's sidewalks,
there
but
you
that's not sidewalk.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I
I don't wanna
apologize,
split.
it looked like it.
It does look,
And
and that's,
just for the record, Mr. Palutis is just looking on a Google Earth photo, we're not moving into
Not
evidence,
entering
we're
it.
just recognizing that. So again,
but there's yeah, I didn't know, I don't wanna take away from green space there, but there's, I don't believe there's any sidewalk there.
yeah, I know, yeah, that's what he was just showing me.
Well, doesn't the applicant, can you ask your client? You would think she would know whether the sidewalk is in front of the building or not.
We know there's not, we're looking at.
There's definitely no
There's
sidewalk.
no sidewalk,
So are we eliminating, so is it gonna be impossible then if there is,
So I think what the solution should be is that the sidewalk should still be installed there because it can, and a handicap ramp at the corner so that you can get from, the opposite side of Sunset Avenue to
Right.
this. side
right,
of the
that was
street.
my original thought.
Right.
Yeah.
But whatever's there, the piping or whatever, is that gonna be impacted by that?
It's a concrete, gutter, so it's
Okay.
really just no different than just the curb and the pavement, it's just.
So the
it's a
sidewalk will
concrete
go with
gutter.
no problem.
Concrete,
Okay.
the sidewalk can go there without disturbing that.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we okay with putting the sidewalk in for connectivity then? Okay.
Ordinance requires it, so I would say yes, we're okay
Okay,
with it.
just making sure you're not asking for variance. And my other question is.
Well, we are asking for the relief as it relates to Sunset Avenue,
Right, yes.
but on Brielle, we concede that.
So the green space in the northwestern corner, are you proposing sodding that as well per the ordinance, or you're just leaving it naturalized as it is?
Yep, leave it
Okay.
as it is.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
We are adding some plants though. But
Plants are good.
Yeah, we're leaving it.
Yeah. Other questions from the members of the board? There is no public, so does anyone else have any comments?
And
Ms.
I'll
Krimko?
leave it to you as to whether or not you'd like the architect to walk through the architecturals. I think they're pretty simple and speak for themselves. Not that they're not beautiful.
And I don't need to, from a legal perspective, I don't need to hear from the architect.
I asked my board members, you want to see the architect? No?
Straightforward.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mr. Filia.
Okay. Well then, can I have a motion to close the hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All right. Someone want to make a resolution, positive or negative, for this?
Make a positive resolution to walk us through this, accept.
Well, Mr. Lechstein, walk us through our list. What are we?
I'll figure it out. I never, hitting me up for the list is difficult, that's fine. But I got it all.
I make a motion for a positive resolution in accordance with what we discussed and agreed upon tonight as a board.
All right. Moved by Mr. Palutis, seconded by Mr. Beal. Can we have a roll call, please?
Okay, Councilwoman Kaplan,
Yes.
Chairman DeFilia,
Yes.
Mr. Mott,
Yes.
Mr. Beal,
Yes.
and Mr. Palutis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Palutis.
Vice Chair Palutis, I'm sorry, I will fix that, and Mr. Goslin.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
All right.
Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, we have one more item of business this evening. We have a resolution of the Township Council authorizing the planning board to undertake a preliminary investigation to determine if certain property located on 35, identified as Block 34, Lot 11, on the tax map constitutes an area of redevelopment with powers of eminent domain pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law NJSA 40A:12A-1. This was discussed at our last meeting, if you will all remember, except for Mr. Gosselin, you weren't here. And we are now appointing Topology LLC of Newark, New Jersey to complete the investigative report on Route 35, Block 34, Lot 11. I think we need a roll call for that, right, Mark?
Yeah, I need a motion, a second.
A motion, second roll call. So I'll make a motion. Can I have a second?
Mark, am I allowed to vote on this one?
Yep.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Kaplan. All right, roll call, please.
Okay, Councilwoman Kaplan,
Yes.
Chairman DeFilia.
Yes.
Mr. Mott,
Yes.
Mr. Beal,
Yes.
Vice Chair Palutis,
Yes.
and Mr. Goslin.
All right, great. Thank you, everyone. Motion to close the meeting.
Motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.